Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Mike.
I am definitely here.
You are definitely here. And Spence is here.
I'm not sure if I'm here.
Oh, you are.
I'm having I don't have high confidence that I'm here.
Nick is actually driving down from New York, so he said he may call in. So we may hear from them. Our numbers, 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by Vimix Software, Telestream Wirecast Software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. And a Happy New Year, everybody. It's like we were sitting here yesterday and it was 2017. Here it is, 2018, huh? Almost. Well, yeah, let's not speed it up.
It is in Australia.
Yeah, I got some year-end stuff to do today.
Renew your witness protection program?
No, I got end of year fees that have to be paid, or I have to pay a late fee.
Oh yeah,
that crap.
Did you see the people trying to prepay their tax bill?
Yeah, is that stupid?
Well, and the funny thing is that the story that they made about it on the media was these are people who can't afford. They're poor people. They're living where their taxes are over $10,000 a year. And they can't afford. They're living in a poor. Why do they live with their taxes that high? I'm sorry,
Spencer. These are not smart people.
I feel bad for them, but at the same time, hey, this is.
Why do I feel bad about them? They go up there and vote themselves into tax bondage and then whine about it.
The implication is that these are people who apparently have been there a long time and just have. The taxes have grown up around them. I understand.
Elections have consequences.
They do. They do. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
I mean, I don't get it, really. It is really how much, if you had to pay, or if you couldn't deduct 5,000, let's say your taxes are 15,000, you can deduct up to 10, and the rest of it you have to pay. I mean, the rest of it, it's not that you have to pay. You already paid it.
I have to pay it. You can't deduct it.
Right. You can't deduct it. So how much is this going to save really on taxes? The $5,000.
Well, let's say your taxes are $12,000. That's $2,000 not deductible. If you're in the 25% tax bracket, that's 25% of $2,000 or $500.
So we're not talking here tens of thousands. I mean.
No.
You're also
if it
talking,
is, you can afford it.
No.
Isn't that also not just property taxes? Isn't that state and local taxes too?
No, we had that discussion last week, and the fact is that I read somewhere that it applies just to property taxes.
Yeah. Well, that would be. Can you imagine if they limited the deduction on state and local taxes? Because in New York City, for example, you've got state tax, which I think is, I don't remember what it was, but it was a lot. Plus an additional 4 or 5, 6% tax to live in New York City or to work there. I used to work in the city and I had to pay city tax, like I lived there.
But that was income tax.
Income tax.
Right. That's
Yes.
not implicated.
Well, I have family that live in New York, and one of them is paying quite a bit over $10,000 a year for taxes.
Well, the thing is, we don't want them moving down here.
I just saw a
That's
story
right.
of what's happening. Texas, in the big cities, is being filled with people from California.
Good.
And the problem is that they're voting in their own candidates now, and they're starting to change the complexion of Texas.
Well, that's up to the Texas people to get off their butts and fix it.
Yep.
Yep.
Not that I'm confident it will happen.
No.
So what else is happening?
Apple has fallen on the sword and admitted that they still claim that they were doing it for good reasons, that they were throttling phones.
Yeah.
They can't
Now
tell
they're
the truth.
offering a program where if you have a iPhone 6 or better, you can get a battery replacement for $29 and instead of $89. But that doesn't help me if I have a 5S. And also, they will now introduce new software into a new update that will let you either choose to throttle or show you the condition of your battery, more information. So,
But isn't that going to be an update with iOS 11?
supposedly.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's bad because that means you have to update to iOS 11, which I'm not.
Yep. I stopped my 5S from updating because I have put the developer's profile on it.
How do you do that?
It's a couple of steps, but you go into settings and then you have to download the profile. I have to find it. There's a couple of web pages. I'll see if I can find the link to the web page. But once you find that profile, you can go in and change your profile from the default one to this developer's profile. And then it will show you updates are available, but it will not automatically install them or prompt you to install them. And so I have frozen my 5S at 10 point something. So
See, that's
I'll find that information.
That's the problem when Mike, when you say that they're going to put a program that would Spence to choose whether to throttle it or not. The throttling is already in there. Are they going to reverse what they did with 11?
If they're making it a switch to turn it off or on, I would say the answer to the question is yes.
I
Make
hope
it so you
so.
can opt out.
Because just putting a new battery in there is not going to fix the problem.
No, not at all.
No, the way it worked, though, was that it would only throttle once you got below 40% battery.
Okay, that's not true.
That's what they said.
That
is
is
what they said.
That's a lie.
How do you know that?
Because I have the phone, and Nick and I started noticing it at the same time when we did the latest update.
It happened.
I don't doubt it.
It happens
that's
right
their
after you
official
take
position, as they said it was supposed to be 40% battery.
It's a lie.
Was when it would start to take effect.
And even I went and had a new battery put in my phone. It made no difference whatsoever. It was,
Right.
Look, if you use the phone, and I've been using it for 3 years, and you can get to the end of the day and still have 45% battery life. And then with nothing changes in what you're doing, absolutely nothing changes. And you get home at 5 o'clock and you're down to 20% battery life, something has changed.
Now, this is after your new battery or before?
Before. After, it made no difference. I now have to carry a charger in my car, which I've never had to do before.
Do you have a USB port in your car?
I have I do, but I have a cigarette lighter charger.
Yeah.
And a cable.
I have it on the radios in the car. Have the USB port, which will charge, but it's a very low power charge.
I have that as well, but I use it for a USB key. That's how I listen to audio in my car.
Yeah, I find the audio quality is a little better with USB over Bluetooth.
Well, that being the case, it's just so darn convenient. It amazes me how many people have these USB ports in their cars and they don't realize that you can plug in the USB key with MP3 files on it and it plays like a CD or anything else.
Yep.
It's really awesome. I was talking to some people and they said, "Do you have one?" I don't know. We went out and looked in their car and found one in the bottom of their glove box, and they plugged a USB key in. Boom, they've got a music source.
Oh. So there's some good news, some good things coming out of Detroit. Or maybe from somewhere else.
Japan.
Okay. Now,
I find that the support for smart devices, now this is for aftermarket radios, not commenting about the actual, we have a Nissan Altima, and I'm not thrilled with their approach to smart devices. It's just the app that they give you is completely useless. But the rest of it works pretty good. Bluetooth on your phone, actually had to change the way certain names were in the directory, because you'd say call a certain name and it would just suggest the most crazy stuff, until you finally, my daughter's name, for example, is Eve. And you said, call Eve. I said, call Steve, call Eve, and it would just, some of the stuff was just totally weird. So what Pam did with her phone is she changed the way Eve's name was written in the directory to Eva, and added an extra, and then it works. So it's just had the recognition issue is a problem.
Well, it is Nissan.
What's that?
It is Nissan.
Yeah. But yeah, the Amnon should be able to fix it for us.
There you go.
But I have two aftermarket radios that are actually three. The pickup truck I just got has an aftermarket, an older one, Bluetooth, that actually works better than the two newer ones I have. I have a JVC and a Pioneer, and both of them have weird problems with incoming calls not going to the speaker, and I can't change anything to make it work. Outgoing calls always work, but incoming calls will go to the iPhone, and I can't seem to change the default anywhere. And as soon as you plug in the USB cable, it will start to play music from your phone, from your library of iTunes, and you have no choice as to changing it.
All right, so there's an article here about that Apple thing, and it says Apple just published a letter to customers apologizing for the quote-unquote misunderstanding around older iPhones being slowed down, following its recent admission that it was, in fact, slowing down older phones in order to compensate for degrading batteries. We know that some of you feel Apple has let you down. We apologize. Apple says in the letter that batteries are consumable components and is offering anyone with an iPhone 6 or later a battery replacement for $29 starting in late January through December 2018. So you have a year. A discount of $50 from the usual replacement cost. Apple also promising to add features to iOS that provides more information about the battery health in early 2018 so that users are aware of when their batteries are no longer capable of supporting maximum phone performance. Nowhere does it mention that there is anything to switch to allow you to choose whether you want to throttle or not. And I don't understand this maximum phone performance. If the battery has 20%, it's the same as having 100%, only for a shorter period of time, in my book. If it has 10%, it is the same power as a brand new battery is, but it will only last you a few minutes. 10% doesn't mean less voltage, does it, Mike?
Ask me that question again.
10% power in the battery doesn't mean lower voltage. It means the same voltage, but not as much of it.
No.
What?
It does mean lower voltage, because that's a loose comment about how it works.
Oh.
As the voltage declines, the power also declines. In a pure mathematical sense,
right,
lower voltage does not necessarily mean lower power, but the way a battery operates is that as the voltage drops, the power also drops.
So it is true that if the battery is full, the phone works better than when the battery is at 20%?
No.
Okay. So explain that.
Because it goes into a voltage regulator, and whenever it drops below a certain point, then the phone it will stop working completely. There's a threshold in there, because a light bulb, if you have a 130 volt light bulb and you operate it at 90 volts, it'll be dimmer. Electronic equipment doesn't work that way. It has to be in a safe operating region for it to operate at all. Okay. In fact, case in point, sometimes you will see a computer that has a power supply, say with bad capacitors in it, or the voltage supply rails are low. The computer will randomly reboot. It doesn't just operate slower, it starts operating erratically.
Okay. So it's not it's not, you can't compare it to a gas tank that has 20 gallons versus 1 gallon.
Only to the extent that if there is enough gas for it to get out of the tank to the engine's going to run at full speed.
Right. Okay.
But it gets to the point below the threshold where the tank can't pull the gas out of the tank, the engine stops.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's what they are saying. It's a mess on their hand anyway, and it's a mess for people that have those phones, and it's too bad because there's really nothing wrong with these phones. I still don't understand why they make these phones, and it's not just Apple. Not that it's not consumer changeable battery, replaceable battery. I love my older phones. Battery goes weak. You go on Amazon or eBay, you find batteries for about $15, brand new. You buy them, you charge them, you put them in there, and there it goes again. I don't understand why they make it so you cannot replace them, other than we want your money. We want more money from you.
Most Samsung phones, you can replace the battery.
I was told that the new ones are not.
It depends on the model. Some you can, some you cannot. But even on the iPhones, the guy that I use to repair our phones replaces them in 5 minutes.
Did you ever watch somebody doing it?
Sure. So
is it something that you think you can do?
If he can do it, I can do it. But does that mean I'm going to do it? Nope.
Okay. Right.
You wonder how many phones he's broken learning how to do it.
When he is no object.
919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Let's see who's calling here. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
What's up?
Hey, you're talking about iPhone batteries. Am I cutting into another topic, or are you still talking about batteries?
That's fine.
Okay, so I got the new iPhone 8 Plus, the one that I think you were talking about it last week, Mike. And I got to tell you, the battery life on this thing is fantastic. I used it all day yesterday. Pulled it off the charger probably 9 o'clock in the morning, plugged it back in about midnight, and it still had 70% battery left when I plugged it in to go to sleep last night. So,
did you have it turned on?
Excuse me?
Did you have it turned on?
Yeah, I did. I had it turned on. I was using it almost all day. I had a couple phone calls I made on it. And, Apple has now admitted, of course, that they were slowing down older iPhones and destroying the batteries on them. But it's night and day. My old phone would have been completely dead by midnight of last night if I was using it. And then this new phone, which is literally less than a week old, still had 70% battery left on it after being off the charger for 15 or 16 hours or so, which is quite amazing.
I don't know if you heard the comment, Nick, but we were saying that Amnon was reading where this propaganda from Apple saying that the phones did not slow down until the battery was at 40% or less. And I say that's a bald-faced lie. I think that the new firmware slowed the phones down, period.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you are spot on correct with this. Anybody that has owned an iPhone that is a couple of generations old, when you do a software update, your battery life instantly goes to the toilet, instantaneously with the update. And the thing that's so shocking to me is especially all these tech bloggers, how they're so enraged. I mean, if anybody's covered the iPhone for any amount of time, or hell, even owned one, it was blatantly obvious that Apple was purposely slowing down older devices with their software updates. This isn't news to me. This isn't news to you, Mike. You had iPhones. They do this every single revision of the iPhone that they release. So I don't know why everybody's so shocked by it.
I agree.
Where are you, Nick?
I'm just traveling down Interstate 87, heading towards New York City this morning.
All right,
You
so
got a late start.
Nope, left around 9. I started at my started time, so I will. I'll be listening, and I'll talk to you gentlemen next Sunday.
All right.
All right, drive safely.
Drive safely.
He had to build a
Careful.
fire.
Bye. Bye-bye.
He had to build a fire under his car to get it started.
Yeah. No, he just takes a portable TV with CNN on it and puts it under the car, and all that hot air melts the snow.
That's it. I saw something in Alaska I've never seen before. It was so clever. That people try to work on their cars up there when it's really cold and to warm an engine. But the person I saw using it was using it to work on their vehicle while it was cold out. It's a small ducted kerosene heater that has a low flat duct that you put under the car that points up at the engine, and it's a variable speed fan and a small kerosene heater that will just let air come up into the engine compartment from underneath. What a clever idea.
I know we went skiing in Wintergreen in about, I guess this would have been 79. And at that time I had a diesel. Didn't even think about it. And at one point, I don't know if we were going somewhere or getting ready to leave, but I went out to the car to crank it, and it just laughed at me. It was so cold that the engine would not even turn over. I don't remember what we did, but I think we got some extension cords and hair dryers and went out there and just let it blow on the engine for a few hours, and then it cranked right up.
I remember going and around that time frame, late 70s, my sister had a Volkswagen diesel Rabbit, and we drove it to a ski area in northern New Jersey and went to get out at the end of the day, and it was probably 20 degrees, 18 to 20 degrees. It wouldn't even crank, and had to have it towed to a gas station where they put it inside the shop and ran the heat until it, and the guy just said, "We don't have diesels around here."
Right.
Well,
that's
the main problem with diesel vehicles is not that the engine is cold, because the
fuel is thick,
and
the oil is thick.
Gels.
Yes,
and it doesn't run. So I always go and I mix some kerosene in the cars, in the trucks, and that keeps it from.
What ratio?
Gelling. I just put like half a gallon in a 50-gallon tank.
It doesn't seem like it would make that much difference.
Maybe it's not that cold here, but I never had the problem of gelling on any of the vehicles, so knock on wood.
Well, a lot of these cars now, of course, have heaters in them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They have engine heaters in them, preheaters. Yep.
In Alaska, you have to have a transmission heater, an engine heater, a battery heater, and you just see every car will have a cord hanging out the front. And all businesses and anywhere you'd park, I won't say all spaces are covered, but there are plug-in places like Walmart. You say, what are those things in the parking lot? Places for people to plug their car in.
Is it free?
Free. Yep.
Then you should get an electric car and plug it in.
Well, that would take a long time to charge on that. You don't see a lot of electric cars up there.
Well, you could if you could always go to Sam's Club because it takes forever to check out. You'd have plenty of time to charge your car.
Yeah. Yep.
Mike always finds a silver
There's always
lining.
a solution, Amnon. You have to be creative. Although I didn't tell you about my pleasant surprise in dealing with Sam's Club on the checkout rate, because it used to just annoy the heck out of me. They had no express. Well, they would have express checkout lanes, but no one was ever manning them or womaning them. And so I was in there one day. I just needed one or two items, and I just, as I usually do, I got annoyed. So I mouthed off at one of the employees and said, "Why don't you have somebody manning one of these cash registers instead of me having to stand behind people with 3 buggies each to check out?" But she said, some nonsensical retort. And she said, "Have you thought about getting our app?" And I said, "No, why would I want to get your app?" She said, "Because it'll scan the item and allow you to pay for it. You don't even have to go through the checkout." I said, "Really?" So even though I was skeptical, I downloaded the app, and sure enough, when you go into Sam's Club now, all you do is go in here. It's called Scan and Go. It doesn't even have their name on it. So that suggests to me it's probably going to be used at maybe multiple stores. But all you do is you load the app on your phone, and there's a button here that says Start Scanning. And whenever you hit you have to show you which club you're in. You hit the Start Scanning button. We can't find you inside the club, so it won't work here, but that's okay. But then what it'll bring up is your typical sparkly screen where it's looking for a barcode. You scan the barcode, it tells you how much it is. You tell them how many you're going to get, and then you go to the next item. Then whenever you get ready to leave, you scan and make sure that it has properly scanned everything that you picked up and not the things you put back or whatever. So you hit you've already entered your information, you hit the checkout button, and it says, "Okay, you're good to go." And it pops up a barcode. When you get ready to leave, you hold your phone up. They have a hand scanner that they scan the barcode on your phone, and they say, "Have a nice day." You don't even have to go through the checkout any longer.
I wonder how many people do that, actually.
You can stand there and see it. It's not very many, but I will assure you it's going to grow. I mean, as soon as these cashiers want $15 an hour, it's going to grow tremendously, just like the McDonald's that are putting in kiosks. Nick was telling me that they were already doing it big time down in Wilmington.
I'm sorry I stepped away for a minute, Mike, but that app and what they're doing is a game changer.
I agree. As long as the problem with the Googles and the Walmarts and all that is they come along, they do something great, and it doesn't catch on quite as fast as they think it will, and they drop it.
No.
So everybody, if you go to Sam's Club, put the app on your phone and use it. I mean, and the good thing about it is it gives you a price check right there when if you're picking up a box of crackers and you scan it, and then you get to see if it's ringing up as the same price that's listed on the shelf item, which is a good double check. And if the tag is missing, you can scan it right there and it'll tell you what the price is. If you don't want it, you say delete and put it back on the shelf.
All right. Let's change direction. A Chrome extension with over 105,000 users has been deploying an in-browser cryptocurrency miner to unsuspecting users for the past few weeks. The extension does not ask for user permission before hijacking their CPUs to mine Monero all the time the Chrome browser is open. Named Archive Poster, the extension is advertised as a mod for Tumblr that allows users an easier way to reblog, queue, draft, and like posts right from another blog's archive. According to users' reviews, around the start of December, the extension has incorporated the infamous CoinHive in-browser miner in its source code. So check for that if you're using Archive Poster. If your computer, we always used to say, if your computer is slowing down, check for virus or malware that's doing something. And we run a antivirus and Malwarebytes, whatever, and it finds something maybe. Here, this is another thing to say, check and see if your computer is mining. It requires many computers to do that, and that's why they're taking your computer in along with others to do it for them. So you need to check on that. Archive Poster, and it's a mod for Tumblr if you're using Tumblr. In a completely different direction here, a recent letter a company sent to one of its users, the ISP points out that it received multiple copyright infringement notices, urging the customer to stop or else. While reduced internet speed are bad enough, there's another scary prospect. The reduced service level may also prevent subscribers from controlling their thermostat remotely. Not ideal during the winter. Please be advised that this may affect other services which you may have connected to your internet service, such as the ability to control your thermostat remotely or video monitoring services. Accused pirates who want their full service restored and regain control over their thermostat have to answer some copyright questions and read an educational piece about copyright infringement. So if you get throttled back big time, it's not just the inability to get quick from one place to another. A lot more and more homes have what we call connected homes, and you may not be able to control your thermostat, and it may just go haywire. Who knows? I mean, there's all kind of things can happen. So best thing, don't pirate stuff. And if your ISP is telling you, hey, you better stop, we're getting complaints, then you better stop. This is nice, to just answer some copyright questions and stuff, but you could get sued, right, Mike?
Get what?
I'm not sure what I was listening to what you were saying. I'm not sure what the question is.
If you're sitting at home on Uverse and you pirating stuff, you're letting people download from your computer, or you are downloading a lot of pirated stuff, and the IS and AT&T says, Mr. Phillips, you better stop what you're doing. We're getting complaints about you.
Well, anytime you're downloading something illegally, you're subject to criminal prosecution,
right.
not just getting sued.
Yeah.
But if somebody has taken over your computer and you don't know about it, there might be not such a big deal. But some places like Getty Images, they don't care about that. They go after you anyway.
(919-518-9773) Computers 2K Voice on Skype.
I have something for Gene. I put something in text, but
all right.
For some reason, the Microsoft camera will capture the screen just fine, but the Logitech camera, the screen, the refresh rate just shows one giant scan line. about every 2 seconds. So this is an original PC1. It is not the very first one. It is the, I think it's the second. It might actually be an XT system board. I don't remember when I built this thing. But this is an IBM PC 640K. Had it in my attic. I probably had it running here at one point when I first moved here in 1991. I built this in the 1980s. And this has got an industrial monitor. It's an RGB monitor or CGA monitor. It's called an industrial monitor. So it's the same monitor, but it has a fan and a filter in it. And 2 floppy drives. And this has been sitting in my attic, cold, hot for many, many, many years. And I had a box of floppy diskettes. And when I first brought it down here, it was so cold that it wasn't working right. But once it got to room temperature, I started it up. It still works.
Wait a minute, but Apple people would say that it can't be working because they say Apple computers, that Windows computers only last about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and this is Load Runner, one of our favorite games that we used to run on this platform. Amazing.
Speaking of which, my daughter's boyfriend got a game. I forget what the name of it is, but it was the old 480i resolution game that it's a current model. I forget the name of it. It's not Pac-Man, but it's one of that era, one of the old games, these classic games. We connected it to several TVs, and on every TV, it looked terrible. The resolution was absolutely terrible. And it's been so long since I've had to fool with that. I didn't think about it, but then it occurred to me that there may be a way to set the TV on 480 resolution instead of it being on 1080 and upscaling. But I looked through the TV. I couldn't find a way to adjust the resolution. So I don't know how they're selling a game in 2017 with 480i resolution, which you want it to have because it's a classic game. It's not going to be rewritten for 1080, obviously.
Yeah.
But
480i is the standard for digital TV.
But the question is, I can't figure out how to get the resolution to match the game.
Yeah, I don't know. And what's the output? What are they using to plug it into the television?
Composite.
Composite, yeah. Which defaults to 480. Anyway, should.
Yeah, see, I don't think it is though.
Yeah.
I think that if I were thinking about it at the time, it's just been so long since I've looked at it. I think that I was playing with another TV we had not used it on, and there was a way to switch it, to force it to 4:3, and that may have fixed it because it was smearing. Amnon, she's talking about Amazon Echo.
Yeah, Amnon, you were echoing for a while. You were in a tunnel. So that, Mike, that Scan and Go app is actually, I looked at the Walmart, the Google Play site, and it actually says it's being rolled out there, but it's only at one store in Arkansas right now.
For Walmart.
For Walmart, yeah. But it's more available at for the iOS app is being rolled out in more locations first. Because you've got segmentation with so many Google devices out there, that's much easier for them to support iOS devices. But I had an interesting experience. I went to do some work for a customer, and they had a new Ring doorbell. As I walked up to their townhouse, oh, how's that working? Oh, it's only been in one day, and the service is terrible. Not the customer service from Ring, but the service, the actual Wi-Fi. And I was checking out. They had AT&T coming over as Uverse, and the Wi-Fi was was on their actual router, DSL router, and it was probably 15 feet away, right below it was right in the room above where the door was, and they still could not get the Ring to connect reliably to the Wi-Fi. So I got out my little Wi-Fi scanner and I saw that there were like 25 networks right around this townhouse. And most of them had the same channel. All were on channel 1. So that was one suggestion that I had for them. But
Spence,
yes, sir.
we want to see your face. That's enough to watch.
Oh, I'm watching the game here. What are you talking
I'd
about?
rather watch the game.
All right. Let's see.
Hey,
Who's
I'm
more
on.
interesting than my face?
Who called in?
It's Gene.
Hey, Gene.
How you doing? Hey, Spence. That
Yes.
PC1 working doesn't surprise me at all. I'll tell you another story about things like that. In the 1980s, one of IBM's customers in the area had a fire in their office. And after the fire was out, they went in and they had displays at that time connected to large computers. And one of the displays was sitting on a desk and it was literally melted. The covers were like melted off. And they decided to see what they could do about getting recovery. And they turned on the computer and the display worked. And they could not believe it. So they called up the marketing guys in IBM. And they took that display and they put it on a pedestal with a plaque. And they brought it up to my office and presented it to me as the kind of quality that we made in the plant at that time. And it sat there on a pedestal outside my office with a plaque on it. Unbelievable.
You think about this thing's been up there all this time. Temperature changes, 120 degrees in the summer, whatever it is in the wintertime. And the solder, any new devices today, the solder joints would be gone. You know, this is all lead solder, and the quality of it, it's all IBM parts. This is not any OEM bits. When we were field engineers back I started with field engineering in 1984. But I was working for IBM from 77. So I did see the PC, just that I didn't have a chance to work on it yet. But we all got trained on PCs when I started in 84. But we were encouraged to dabble. And so we would take so-called defective system boards and we were replacing machines. Sometimes when they didn't know what the problem was, you just replaced everything.
Yeah.
So we would have a system board. We didn't know if it was good or not, and let's try it. Let's build a machine. So over time, the few of us that were actually responsible for working on PCs, we all built our own machines. And then I did buy a couple through the employee purchase program too. But this was like a machine. This particular machine was one that I had built to train myself.
Yeah. Well, I guess the reason Lenovo is still my favorite, even though the cost is up a little bit. When IBM sold Lenovo to the Chinese people, they basically said that they wanted to try and keep IBM quality and IBM service. And I think to a large extent they have. I mean, it's the device of my choice. I mean, I'll go Lenovo first before anything else.
I've installed several of their smaller platforms, smaller idea centers. Very impressed with the quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My son works for a company called Flextronics, and one of their main customers is Lenovo, and he manages the Lenovo account. Oh, I don't know. It's got a lot of a big account, big money, and he said they still try and do the best quality in the market. So,
yep.
And the best plant they have to make things for Lenovo that wins the quality award every year is in Hungary.
Hmm.
He said the plant in Hungary has the best quality and the best service. It's the cleanest place. Of all of them I mean, he's talking worldwide. And every year, Hungary wins the award. Okay, guys, I'll let you go.
All right, Gene. Thanks for
Happy
calling.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. So listen to that. Nick, one of Nick's biggest points of getting a new phone was wireless charging. So the wireless charging we're talking about for phones is you have to put the phone down on that mat or on that pod or whatever you call it to charge it. Well, listen here. FCC has approved the first wireless charger that works from up to 3 feet away.
Really?
In Gadget Report, San Jose-based startup Energus announced on Tuesday that it has received the first such FCC certification for power at a distance wireless charging with its What Up midfield transmitter. The transmitter converts electricity into radio frequencies, then beams the energy to nearby devices outfitted with a corresponding receiver. This differs from the resonant induction method that the PI wireless charging system relies upon and offers a greater range than the Belkin and Mophie chargers that require physical contact with the device. The What Up can charge multiple devices simultaneously and should work on any number of devices, from phones and tablets to keyboards and earbuds, so long as they're outfitted with the right receiver. What's more, the What Up ecosystem is manufacturer agnostic, like Wi-Fi, meaning that you'll still be able to, for example, charge your Samsung phone even if the transmitter is made by Sony or Apple. 3 feet away, and that's just the beginning here. That should be something. And I always go back when I see this, and I know that, no, that's probably not going to happen. I always go back to the early days of BBS operator back in the 80s. And the biggest problem was lightning. Through the power, surges. And I said, boy, it would be so nice if there was a device that you can hang on the wall that would have the power completely disconnected from the wire itself. But here, this is nice. This is, you know, they didn't say anything about side effects. I'm sure there are some. If it's charging the phone from 3 feet away, I don't know what it's doing to you.
No, that was my thought.
Yeah, I'm sure it has something there.
Well, they have to go through a lot of FCC testing for this stuff. So,
well, if the FCC approved it, I wonder what that means. Does this mean that they tested it and everything is okay, so they approved it, or they approved development of such? But it's exciting.
They can't ship a product or even put it out there for beta testing unless it's gone through some type of testing.
Okay. Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's certified yet, but I just like anything else, anything that's got RF or any type of electromagnetic radiation has to be. You need to be cognizant of what its effects on you could be. If you're using the system, if you put your coffee cup down between the transmitter and the receiver and the coffee warms up, then I'd be concerned. Think about how they discovered microwave.
Yeah.
Working in the lab on radar stuff. And there's two stories I've heard.
Hey, I'm getting hot.
Chocolate bar melting in the guy's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they discovered. But my dad was a radar crew chief during World War II. And the stories I heard was that in the morning, if it was cold, he worked in a South Atlantic island that was closer to the equator. He wasn't cold. But in cold locations, the radar guys in the morning, when they get there, they'd go out and stand in front of the ray for a few seconds to warm up. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Are you ready to do specials?
I can be. I need to get with it here. Get with the program. Give me a moment. It's a different computer, so that's why I can't just pull it up without.
That's all right. That's fine. Let me bring it up.
It's one of them things.
Things.
It's a thing.
Okay, hold on a second before we do that. Good morning.
Hey, Amnon, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Great. This is Bruce Turner. How are you?
Bruce!
Howdy.
Great. Hey, I was just listening to the show and everything, and I wanted to chime in on this crazy, insane idea for wireless charging 3 feet away.
Uh-huh.
That, and going to the comment that was made about EMF, this is really, really a bad idea as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if you guys know, I retired in June. I've been managing a project, came back for a couple of months, but we're downsizing and headed toward traveling full time in an RV for 2 to 3 years, beginning in June. But we moved to a smaller apartment, and Appalachian Electric Power Association is switching to these smart meters, so-called smart meters,
Right.
where you don't have to have people come and check. And so on the outside wall of our bedroom are 12 smart meters. I mean, we just got the luck of the draw. We're downstairs apartment, 12 smart meters on the outside, and it has affected especially my wife's health in a dramatic way.
Oh.
And so I think people are just wise to consider, this type of EMF situation. We have actually purchased some filters and things like that. We've been able to reduce the EMF because our lease isn't up until May. And so I would really caution people about purchasing a wireless charger that works from 3 feet, because they're going to have it sitting on their nightstand, right? And they're going to just be absorbing all that crap the whole night. I don't even run my PC at night now. I turn it off. It's amazing how you can reduce the EMF in a bedroom by turning off the PC rather than letting it run. I mean, the savings were significant. So anyway, but I've enjoyed watching this show. I've been on Facebook, and I don't know if you have anybody monitoring comments there, but I just wanted to say I've been really, really enjoying listening.
You couldn't take.
Thanks, Bruce.
Bruce, you couldn't line the wall with like aluminum foil.
I was thinking about a kerosene heater.
Bruce, they do make paint.
This is
specifically
bad.
Designed for this.
Yeah,
You can paint the wall, and it's RF reflective paint.
Well, I'm gonna have to check into that, because they will let us paint, as long as we, we could repaint and have just one accent wall there, and that would be helpful. Thanks for that information.
Good to hear from you. Good luck.
Yeah.
If you drive up to Alaska next summer, if you're going to make it up there, I'll be up there from July till the end of September, up in Fairbanks. I had some friends came up in their RV and stopped in, and I gave them a tour of the town, and it was nice to see them.
Well, we plan on getting all the way out to the Oregon coast, and if we're that far, might as well get up into Alaska. So, hey, I was going to share one other thing with you too. I'm actually doing some work for a Life Church out in Oklahoma. I push their Facebook Live and their YouTube live streams on Sunday, but I do it from my Chromebook here at a coffee house. And I log into, I don't know if you've ever heard of Paperspace, where you can set up these really powerful virtual PCs. And got a really high-end virtual PC that's on a server in Kansas City that I log into. It's got high-end graphics, processor, RAM, memory, and all that stuff. And I run XSplit on it, and I actually stream to 3 different platforms at the same time and never get the CPU over 25%. It's pretty cool how it works. Have you ever heard of Paperspace?
No.
Yeah, paperspace.com. You can create a virtual PC. They'll charge you so much an hour. This particular PC, the way they've configured it, costs 38 cents an hour to run. And so when we're traveling full time and I'm, using my Chromebook on the road, I have another virtual PC that I created for myself, where if I wanted to do some serious video editing from the road, I could do it on that machine. So it's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Hey Bruce,
Yeah.
Amazon actually has it's called Y Shield EMF shielding paint. It's 5 liters. It's expensive, and there are smaller quantities you can buy in all kinds of different products out there. But they do make it. It says 1 coat will shield you 36 dB or effectively 99.98%. And then if you go with a second layer, it's 43 dB, 99.995%.
All right, I'm gonna log into that and check that out. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
Have a happy New Year,
All right,
Bruce.
take care.
Happy New Year.
Okay, you too. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care.
All right, bye bye.
919-518. What,
No, I
Mike?
got it here.
Sorry, Mike.
I was just telling him to put it in chat.
Oh. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And I think, okay, we'll let Spence put the thing in the chat and get on with the specials.
Now, I am on this picture. This could have been you on the front page here. Who's keeping up with Commodore? Notice the kind of middle-aged looking guy with the portable Commodore computer sitting there drinking his poofy drink with the hot babes in the background.
It's poofy?
Poofy drink, yeah. It's like a yellow, it's some type of sweet cocktail thing. But just think of the advertising. Who came up with this idea to show some kind of middle-aged, middle manager guy sitting there with, at the pool with his computer?
Just the subliminal message that the computer is going to increase your efficiency to the point that you'll have time to vacation in exotic places.
Yeah, exactly. And you're it's probably, they picked the wrong body type for the guy, though. There should have been like some guy who's 100 pounds overweight. Oh well. All right, and Amnon, Dixon's best computer deals ever. Unfortunately, it's in pounds, but kind of cool. All right, so we went back to our traditional specials format, and just like normal, it's not really a holiday time anymore. There are some clearance items that I did mention here that were pretty good, but this is right out of the ads for today, the typical Sunday ads. It did include fries at the end. Okay, Computers 2K Now specials for December 31st, 2017. Starting with laptops, we've got an entry-level laptop at Best Buy. It's an HP A6 AMD processor for $249, $30 off. Next one is Office Depot, Office Max, an HP Pavilion i7 laptop. This is $250 off the regular price for $549.99. And finally, at Staples, we've got an HP Pavilion Core i5 laptop for $469, which is $170 off. Desktops, we've got at Best Buy a Dell XPS i7 for $899, $100 off. Office Depot Office Max is a Dell desktop PC i5 for clearance price of $349. That's $230 off the regular price. So you won't find it in a regular ad, but if you look at this and you go for the clearance items, you'll find it. It is readily available at most stores. Some of them is available for pickup. Lenovo Idea Center AMD A9 entry-level desktop at Staples for $299, which is $100 off. Tablets, we've got a entry-level Insignia 10.1-inch tablet at Best Buy for $99. Office Depot Office Max didn't have any actual dedicated tablets, but they did have a good deal on a Lenovo Flex i5 convertible laptop tablet. This is $549, saved $250. Touchscreen, of course. And Staples has a Samsung Galaxy Tab S2 for $399. This is $100 off the regular price. Okay, networking. Best Buy has a Linksys MaxStream AC 1750 Wi-Fi router for $99. That's $30 off the regular price. Now, this next device, I'm glad that I just stumbled across this. I know these devices exist. I just didn't bother to look for them. You know how we talk about upgrading routers, and you might say, I'm going to go with an AC 1750 router. Well, if you don't have a compatible adapter in your laptop or in your desktop, you are never going to realize the potential of that network. First of all, you've got to be the AC standard, and then you've got to look at the numbers. The 1900 and 1750, this is actually the theoretical maximum throughput speed that you could get under ideal conditions. So you won't get this, but you need to, the higher the number, the more potential you have. But what this is TP-Link AC 1900 high gain dual band wireless USB adapter and antenna. This will allow you to plug into any device, older devices. It is USB 3. So keep that in mind, and give you, without having to upgrade your network adapter, kind of difficult sometimes in laptops, to get these high speeds. So if you have a PC, you don't want to connect it it could be a desktop machine. This is ideal. This is a great price, $30 off the regular price of $59.99. This is at Office Depot, Office Max. Highly recommend this product. And then at Staples, we've got the Linksys AC 1600 dual band smart Wi-Fi router. This is a clearance item at Staples. 70% off at $35.19. It's normally $119. So if you're looking to do a simple upgrade in your house, you have an older router that's an N router or even a G router, you want to get a significant bump up, you can go with this for $35.19. The current iPhones, even going back to iPhone 6s, have dual band Wi-Fi, and you can turn on the 5 gigahertz channels and get much higher throughput. So this is a good deal. Storage. This has been the best price we've seen all year. They've had this on sale before at this price. This is a Western Digital 2 terabyte USB 3.0 portable drive for $59.99. That's $70 off the regular price. We usually don't see it this cheap. This is usually the sale price on a 1 terabyte. So this is a good deal. Office Depot Office Max has the Lexar USB 3.0 flash drive, 64 gig for $12.99. That's $17 off the regular price. And here's a Seagate USB 1 terabyte backup drive for $59. Notice it's the same price as the one over at Best Buy. Mm-hmm. But still a good deal. It's only $15 off the regular price. But the form factor might be a consideration. But okay, accessories. Best Buy has a CyberPower 650 VA battery backup system for $49.15 off. Office Depot Office Max has a universal slim laptop charger for $49. That's $10 off. Staples has a Logitech MK320 full-size wireless keyboard for $24.99, which is $15 off the regular price. Best Buy has a 19.5-inch monitor for $59. That's $40 off the regular price. Yeah, I mean, if you can go with a larger monitor, I would, but there are applications where you need to have a smaller monitor, or say you just don't have enough room, or you want to stack monitors. This is just an economic way of doing it. Economical way of doing it. Good monitor. Dell 27-inch monitor, FHD, for $159.99, which is $110 off. That's at Office Depot Office Max. And we've got an Acer 23.8-inch widescreen monitor for $99.99. That's $50 off the regular price. Printers. Best Buy has an Epson Workforce 2760, $69.99, save $60. Office Depot Office Max has an Epson Workforce DS40 portable document feeder scanner for $119. That's $60 off. And Staples has my favorite printer on sale, Brother 2700 DW mono laser printer all-in-one. This is a printer scanner fax copier, $149, say $50. It's about the best you'll see under normal sale prices. I have seen it maybe a little bit cheaper. And there are different versions of this, so make sure you get the one that If you get the one for $99, it's sometimes on sale. It does not have the document feeder. It looks the same. It does have a scanner, but it does not have the document feeder. Home automation and security. Amnon, this is for you. The Insignia LED gloves. You can change your mood. So when you're working, if people approach you and you have red or orange or purple, they'll know that you're upset. And, nice cool colors like blue and yellow to show that you're calm. So I want you for only $7.49. What a deal. How many sets are you going to order?
How many do you want?
You order multiples. I mean, just think about it. Actually, I should mention this to my daughter, Emily. She's a dance choreographer, is always looking for unique things to use in dances. This would be pretty cool.
That would be nice for that.
$7.49. Yeah, that's a good deal. I got to tell her about it. That's at Best Buy. Office Depot Office Max has a new brand of programmable multicolor bulb. I don't know why. This is a good price, $24.99. This is a 60-watt equivalent bulb, an A19. It's called a Genie. It's not Greenie, which I looked at it and said, oh, Greenie. So no, it's Genie. Prisma, warm white multicolor Wi-Fi control bulb. Does work with Alexa, $24.99. And Vivitar LED wireless speaker bulb. This could really freak people out. You put this in a light somewhere in your house and you can send sound through it, But $26.19. This is a clearance deal. Anything you see with a price like $26.19 or some weird number, that shows you what kind of discount and how far into the discount cycle you are. You can go look these up at these different retailer sites to find out what their pricing means. But that's at Staples, 34% off the regular price. And finally, just some stuff at Fry's. This is a handy device. This is a Diamond Ultra docking station. And this is USB 3. What I like about it is it's got 2 HDMI outputs. It's got 1 gigabit Ethernet output, 4 USB 2.0, 2 USB 3.0, and 1 USB 3.0B female, and then a line mic output. So
how does it connect?
It connects by USB 3. That's the input to it. So it'll work with any USB 3 device. What a great, for the price, $89, just to get 2 additional HDMI displays for $89. I mean, this is ideal for a laptop where you can't expand. So I like this a lot. And Diamond makes good stuff, Diamond Multimedia. That's $10 off. CyberPower 1000 VA battery backup for $94. That's $15.99 off. Garmin, this is an interesting device. This is a GPS device. Now, I don't know what the display is, how much detail is going to be on this display. I couldn't find a lot of graphics on it. But this will work with Alexa in your car. It's $149.99, and you download the app for your phone that is the interface between broadband network, Alexa, back to the GPS. So you can actually do voice commands, but it's not just voice commands for navigation. It's voice commands for anything that Alexa can do. So in the car, it's, Amazon Music, Pandora, Sirius XM, Spotify, whatever, turn-by-turn directions. I don't know if I'd want to say play games while I'm driving in the car, but anything that Alexa can do, you can do through this device. And I believe it's also a speakerphone. So it's an interesting. I never saw this one before. Sometimes Fry's has some pretty unusual stuff. The next one is something that if you're security conscious, but you want to use a fingerprint reader in your laptop or computer and you don't have, sometimes you have to have an external device. This is a USB dongle that plugs into a Windows PC and will give you finger touch security from Kensington. It's $29.99. And finally, if you've ever wanted to stream from your phone to a device that does not have Bluetooth but does have a input, say whether it's an RCA or a mini plug input, here's a device you can use. It's $10 off. It's Allure-Tech iStream Universal Bluetooth Audio Receiver. So it will connect to a Bluetooth device like your phone and actually receive audio signals and put them into whatever has an input, whether it's an RCA input or a phone jack input. So pretty cool device, $19.99, which is $10 off the regular price. And that's it for 2017, the last specials of 2017. It's so
Spence,
sad.
I have a question.
So sad.
Spence, what is
Yes.
that HNY?
Where is it?
Right in the center between the two items. And it's...
Oh, Happy New Year.
Oh, okay. I keep seeing it.
And it was meant to be a reminder for me to say it, but I put it on every page somewhere.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Oh, no, it's Hi, New York.
Well, thank you, Spence.
You're welcome.
Nick wanted me to tell you that he ordered a wireless charger for his new iPhone 8 Plus. It will be, he will report on it next week.
He really researched it. I mean, we were in a hangout and he was going through all kind of different ones and looking at this and looking at that and looking at this and looking at that again and again and again. And what's this one? So he did his homework, and whatever he bought will be a very good recommendation for people who are looking for these.
Right, but if this radiation has a detrimental effect on his brain waves, we got a problem.
Yes.
Oh, I have a solution.
He doesn't have much room to lose.
I have a solution. I'll show you. Let me add it here.
I noticed when I was sitting
here. This is
here.
what he needs.
I noticed that my picture was. What is this?
This is a silver foil exercise suit with a hood. So you just need to wear it whenever you're charging. You just wear this.
But your head.
So
it's got a hood.
No problem.
Yeah, it does.
It's got a hood that goes with it. Yeah. So it's
okay. Nick said that wasn't funny.
So that'll work.
Look, here's the thing. I mean, I absolutely unequivocally trust anything Bruce Turner says. I mean, he's as straight up, a straight shooter, technically competent guy as there is. So I'm not discounting anything that he said. I will comment, though, that a lot of the hysteria over radiation is unfounded. It just is not there. For example, the remote chargers, whenever they are supposedly charging, if the charging frequency is 60 hertz, it is well established that 60 hertz radiation is not killing people. I mean, they even had 60 Minutes of all places did some research into these power lines that were giving cows horns or something. I don't know what it was years and years ago. And it's soundly defeated. Even in those cases, there are some people who are affected by 60 hertz radiation. The body is a very, very, very complex thing. And to say this does or does not affect you is just naive. It's just not the case. I mean, even doctors who base their responses to questions on the bell-shaped curve, and they say that clearly 95% of all people are unaffected. Yeah, but it's destroying the lives of the other 5% or the other 0.5%. So I never say never when it comes to these things. But I will say that the wide variety, and I know this from a technical perspective, and Brent and others here can agree or disagree, but whenever you talk about remote and wireless charging, that can be at any number of frequencies, and that can be at 60 hertz, it can be at 100 kilohertz, it can be at 9 gigahertz. I mean, there are all sorts of frequency ranges that can be used, and even Gary might even want to chime in. The frequencies can be used, and certain frequencies affect you differently than other frequencies. Case in point, let me give you a case in point about way things can affect people. There are some people who get migraine headaches when sitting under fluorescent lights.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because their brains can sync with the lighting in the room at a certain effect. It's not something you can train your brain to do, but it's something that certain people, that their brains, their resonant frequencies of something in their brain allows them to sync on those lights. And that light sitting there flashing in their face repetitively will give them a migraine headache. It's a very rare thing, but it is real and it does happen. It's been demonstrated. It's not even controversial anymore as far as I know. But I can sit in front of in a room with fluorescent tubes all day long, and it doesn't affect me in terms of headaches. Now, there are some other theories that in terms of what some other effects are, but even then, it's not a radiation issue. These smart, I posted a link in there after Spencer posted that Amazon link, I posted one after that about a Faraday cage designed to fit over a smart meter. It actually fits right over it, and it looks like a beautifully made piece of equipment. But it's interesting to go in and read the comments on that. And some of these people are saying that everybody in the family was getting headaches until they put this Faraday cage over their meter. Now the guy's sleeping 2 additional hours per night.
Good.
I don't buy it.
Good. If it helps, psychosomatic.
But here's my skepticism. Do I believe it's possible that somebody in the house was adversely affected? I do. 2 people, maybe. Everyone in the house, I don't buy it.
Yeah, there's a thing about those, what Bruce was telling us, that I don't understand. Why wouldn't the meters, since they know those meters are going on the side of buildings where there are people on the other side, why can't there be shielded not to emit signal back into the wall?
They shouldn't. If your meter pan is a solid piece of metal, how does it go? This particular shield that Mike is talking about only shields it from the outside, not the inside of the pan. So if it's a steel meter pan, how does that work?
I don't know.
Does the actual metal of the meter pan itself?
Well, let's radiation. Let's go back to Ohm's law a little bit. Let's talk about the practicality of this quote unquote harmful radiation. For any radiation to have a detrimental effect and to cause damage, there has to be power behind that radiation. This is why whenever people say that their wireless router is giving them cancer, I don't believe that. I don't care who says it. And the reason why is because even though that those frequencies at very high power could be dangerous to your health, these wireless routers do not have enough power in them to heat up the tissues in your body to cause the damage. I mean, think about it. A microwave oven, think about how much power a microwave oven uses to induce heat into whatever you put into the oven.
Right.
If the wire, and what I'm saying here is the wireless router, if that could create the problem, then you should be able to run your microwave on a 9-volt battery, because that should be enough power to heat up the food. If this wireless router is going to have enough power to cause damage, look at the size of the wall wart that is used to connect the 9-volt power to the wireless router, and it's good for 500 milliamps. I mean, that's just not a lot of power. And is it possible that I could be proved wrong? Absolutely. But I will tell you that it's like Scotty on Star Trek used to say, I cannot change the laws of physics. And that would be a change in the law of physics if now all of a sudden micro power devices are going to cause major damage. At this point in time, I don't buy it. Now, the reason that these power companies, and I am not up on smart meters. I don't even know if I have one on my house. I assume I do. And if I do, it's next to the kitchen. It's not near a bedroom. The radiation is not an issue. And I will tell you that we all know that the power of a transmitter declines at 1 over the square. So if you measure the power at 1 foot away from the meter, the power being radiated, if you move to 2 feet, instead of having half the power, it's 1/4 of the power. If you move 4, it's 1/16 of the power. It declines exponentially, meaning that when you get close to a radiation source that is dangerous, as you move away from it, the danger diminishes exponentially, not linearly. And that has a lot to do with these remote charger things. And Brent says that he says that the 12 on the outside of his apartment. I wasn't finished, Brent, and talking about my point. My point was that the reason the power companies are not taking precautions is because if we had someone here from Progress Energy, they'd tell you these things are not a problem. They don't, sure, they have a radiate RF. Everything radiates RF. For example, you can buy certain devices, electronic devices, and it says that you can use this device, but it is subject to any interference received by appliances. It is not protected spectrum according to the FCC. And what that says is that if you buy I don't know what it is, a walkie-talkie, and if your wireless router interferes with your walkie-talkie, that's just too bad. It's not protected spectrum.
FCC Part 15.
Well, and more. I mean, there's more to it than that, because even particularly whenever you look at computer power supplies, you talk about noisy. I mean, if you want to talk about RF noise, you get around a power supply it's called a switching power supply. And even if you get into some of these little small wall warts that are really these Chinese garbage that are very, very poorly designed and have almost no EMF suppression on them, they're really, really noisy, but they're not dangerous because they don't have enough power to heat the body tissue to cause the damage. Now, the point that I'm getting to, and there are 2 points left, but the point I'm getting to is that just because, let's say on these power meters, which I know nothing about, just because they are generating RF, that does not mean they're causing damage. That does not mean they're not causing a problem, because if, for example, certain people are sensitive to this radiation or this RF, this noise being generated by these meters, that does not necessarily mean that tissues are being damaged. It can mean that neurological functions in their body are being disrupted. Case in point, if you sit in one of these people who is sensitive to the instantaneous flashing of fluorescent tubes, you're sitting there being very dramatically affected by these lights, but there's no power being transmitted to your body by these tubes. It's not the power, it's the signal, it's the perception, it's the whatever. But having said all that, if apparently the research is being done to in fact determine whether these meters are causing a problem. And I would suggest, as much as I get really frustrated with the medical profession, because Amnon and I both have members in our family who have very severe diseases for which Amnon may disagree, but I think that medical research is moving too slowly. I feel like the resources and the technology are such that we should be further along in treating these diseases than we are now. Mine's an uneducated opinion. Amnon's would be much more educated than mine on the subject. But having said that, I do believe that something like the radiation from a smart power meter, as to the detrimental effect it may or may not have, can be isolated by doing double-blind testing. And I'll give you a case in point. And yes, I'm generally skeptical on these things. Whenever the city of Detroit, Michigan decided to fluorinate its water, they announced that it would be in effect on, let's say, January 1st. Well, by the end of the month, people were lined up at City Hall threatening to mutiny on the city because they were destroying people, were dying from the fluorination of the water, that people were sick, they were in hospitals. It was just a horrible, horrible situation. And what was interesting about it is that the delivery of the equipment had been delayed and it had not yet been installed. So there is that aspect of these things. And whereas there are legitimate people with a problem, there are many, many people who are piling on who have other problems that are not related to these meters. Like those people who were convinced they were dying. Look, these people in Michigan, in Detroit, who were complaining about being sick from the fluorination of the water when it had not even started yet, I am convinced they would have passed a lie detector test, that their symptoms were real. I don't think they were, most of them, I don't think they were making it up. The mind is a powerful thing. And I am in and Bruce knows me. There's absolutely no way I'm suggesting that Bruce's situation, and particularly his wife's situation, because she has health issues, and she absolutely is, in my opinion, a perfect candidate for doing this sort of testing. And I would not be at all surprised to find that she is adversely affected by these things. But what I'm getting to is this. These meters can be tested, and this problem can be determined scientifically, without a doubt, in my mind, to a high degree of scientific certainty. And that work, if it's not being done, it's criminal. It absolutely should be done. And because there's some uncertainty in it, and this is the point I'm trying to get to, because of the uncertainty in it, if there were 12 meters on the other side of a wall at the head of my bed, would I be concerned? Absolutely. Would I take steps to solve the problem? Absolutely. Would I be thrilled to learn that, in fact, in the long run, they didn't make any difference? Even better. Mm-hmm. But I would be very concerned to know that they are causing health issues, and I did nothing to try to solve the problem, even in the face of uncertainty.
Even if the person's symptoms were benign, it still affects their overall well-being.
It's a lifestyle issue.
Yeah. If something irritates you, but it does no physical effect to your body because you have no control over it, like you said, it affects their lifestyle. It affects your well-being because you are constantly annoyed by. I know that I remember reading about how epilepsy can be triggered by certain light patterns. People seeing that light pattern.
Common.
And very common. So what if the person just happens to walk up to that frequency of light at the right moment? They'll go into a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no power being this is what I'm getting to.
That's what I'm saying. That's a great example of how that happened.
It's not a heating or a power issue. Power is heat. If you were to shine, if you bypass the interlock on a microwave oven, put your hand in that oven and turn it on, you are going to heat up very, very quickly, because power is being transferred from the magnetron in that microwave oven to the tissue in your hand, and you will do damage, and probably permanent damage to your hand, because of the power transfer from the 110 volts to your house to the magnetron in that microwave oven to the tissue in your hand. We understand that process. We do not yet understand the effects of all of this radiation. Do I think we need to learn about it? Absolutely. We need to research it. We need to understand it, because just as you were saying that these guys in the military went to stand in front of the radar to get warm, they would never have done that if they had any clue at all that they were altering their DNA with those microwaves.
Yep. Well, it just wasn't understood then.
And we have so many more of these devices that are emitting RF.
Well, so Gary says, and Gary knows this stuff because he worked in this area. He says smart meters use square wave pulses in the audio range modulated onto a 928 megahertz carrier. And if you don't know what any of that means,
I don't.
A square wave, well, a square wave is many, many, many frequencies combined into one. So a square wave has, if you have 1,000 hertz square wave, it has components up to 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 hertz, and on. So we won't get into all that. But then you modulate that with a 928 megahertz carrier, and if there's any nonlinearity to that modulation, it creates not only all of the previous frequencies plus the 928 megahertz carrier, plus a score of other frequencies in between the two. Who's to say whether one of those frequencies is affecting the person who's close to that meter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Gary, I'd be interested. So, and we're being very candid here. If you had 12 meters on the wall on the other side of at the head of your bed, would you put in a shield to protect your bed from those 12 meters? And I vary Gary's opinion. Now, I'll tell you, he does not know the absolute answer to the question. I'm confident he has a strong opinion, and I'm telling you that his strong opinion is based on a lot of technical knowledge that he's acquired over the years. But there are always things that we smart people may not know, and that's one of them. Yes, he would protect himself. So there you go. But I would challenge him, if he were here, I would challenge him to prove that those meters are causing any harm. I don't think
there's nothing wrong about
it's all theoretical
yourself.
at this point.
Yeah,
so why try? If there's a theoretical possibility that it's creating a problem, protect yourself from it.
Exactly. How does it go? Better to err on the side? No, how does it go?
Err on the side
of caution.
Yeah,
caution. So Brent says that these meters are at least one of the meter manufacturers are made here in Raleigh. My brother used to work for the company and design those meters. He actually designed the first meter that could communicate wireless, quote unquote, wirelessly. It actually communicated over the power line. It used its high frequency communications channels to be able to remotely read those meters through the power lines. They ultimately had to scrap the project because the bandwidth of the distribution transformers was so lousy that they could not get reliable signals.
I ran into two interesting questions as I was researching this, looking for stories about this. And the first one was about someone who was forced to install the smart meter on their house. They refused to have it put on their house and was forced to by the municipality or whatever to say you have to have it on your house. You can't refuse. I don't know if that's true because I found somewhere else a link saying how you can legally refuse to have that meter. The second thing is if you put the Faraday cage around it, doesn't that block the signal and won't the utility come after you anyway because they can't read the meter?
I just heard you said something, Mike, that I was not aware. They read the signal through the power line, or is it actual transmitter?
It's actual transmitter now. The power line did not work because the signal could not pass over long distances through the distribution transformers because the transformers are optimized for 60 hertz distribution, and these signals were way, way high.
Yeah, so Spence, if it's RF being transmitted, then I would think that the Faraday cage will interfere with the signal also.
Oh yeah. So what is the utility's going to come around and they look at the meter and they say, you've put an illegal device on this, you can't have it there.
Well,
I'm
reading these comments, and it says that, and that's the link I posted. And if you're interested in this subject, I recommend you read through it. It's interesting, but realize there's a bunch of garbage here. So they're saying that it does not interfere with the ability to read the meter.
How can it be that if they can block 99% of the?
I have no idea.
That's Gary? The question. Now it used to be that these meter readers, like I have a smart water meter, so they have to drive by my house to read it. So the truck drives around once a month and reads the meters. So I don't know if it's the same as true because one article I read said that these meters can be effective up to 30 miles.
And that's kind of what I was wondering. And again, I am totally ignorant on this subject. What I'm saying is that if they can be read for 30 miles, if you put a Faraday cage over them that reduces the radiation 98%, they can still read it from the street.
Yes.
But now, if this radiation is harmful, reducing it to 98% reduces it probably to the harmless range, but yet it can still be read from the street, then nobody loses.
Wouldn't that be funny if you put this thing on there and you find out that these people actually walk up to the meter anyway and hold their device up to read it? Well,
nah.
Oh boy.
Well, as much as I dislike a lot of things that are happening to us in modern society, I do not for any moment believe that the power companies would intentionally put a smart meter out there that they knew was causing harm. I do think that once they determined it was causing harm, then they would probably drag their feet because of the cost in ameliorating the situation. But my brother worked for a company that he worked for Westinghouse designing their meters. If they had ever determined that anything they were doing was causing harm, they would have immediately gone into action to solve the problem, if not for the humanitarian aspect of it, because they didn't want to expose themselves to the ultimate lawsuits.
I have it on good authority from Jane Fonda that they want to hurt you.
Yes. Well,
After all, she made that very intelligent movie called China Syndrome, which was absolutely true.
yeah, everything in Hollywood's true.
Yeah.
Well, Gary says the range is not 30 miles, and I agree with him.
That was on
No,
one
it's
of these,
more like it's more
YouTube,
like
it was a YouTube video about somebody selling something. So
I
Well, there you go.
think I remember. I mean, we had a meter reader that was one of our viewers here years ago, and I've unfortunately lost his job because of those meters. But he was explaining that it's at tops. I think it's 3 miles. A mile
Well, it
and a
depends on the
half.
technology.
Yeah.
It depends.
Well.
See, because some of them were actually tied into the cellular telephone network. And the ones that are tied into the cellular phone network are worldwide, if you know how to reach it through the cellular network. What we're talking about, I'm assuming, is devices that are either Bluetooth type or Wi-Fi type, where they have very low power transmitters in them that allow them to read them from the street.
Yeah, he was explaining that they go and they park their car in strategic points that they can read a lot of meters all at once. But every now and then I see those trucks coming by here, the pickups of that company. I can't remember the name of it, that reads the meter.
what they should do is get really low power meters, and then they can use this device to read. They just have to drive through the
Tell them.
neighborhoods. It won't create any problems. This device, people driving through the neighborhoods with this.
Yeah.
And I think they ought to get rid of all the meters and just give us all of our power for free.
Or just charge everybody an exorbitant rate.
Everybody at the same price.
There was a story, I did not print it out, that said that in Germany, a lot of people in the fourth quarter got paid to use electricity because their investment in green energy, renewables, and all that over the last 20 years, it got to the point where there's way, way too much. So they actually paid people back instead of charging them. That's
Number one,
it's
I think
interesting.
the financials of that are probably very skeptical.
I
think
know
it's probably
that's why
I think it's a ploy. Somebody did that same. They didn't give money back to the people in Britain, but somebody published a report saying that they had gotten to the break-even point and were pulling ahead, and somebody came out and said absolutely not true, because there's no way they could be. They came to say, oh no, our investment has created this new environment, and it turned out it was bogus. Just somebody wanted to make it sound good, to make everybody feel better, and somebody
make
just
a point. Yeah.
completely debunked it.
All right, let's go on. There is and I'll go. I won't go through the whole thing, but there is a cryptocurrency bot that's being spread through Facebook Messenger. Be careful if you get if you're using Facebook Messenger and you get a file from one of your contacts called video_XXXX, which I guess would mean a number or something, or 4 letters or whatever, .zip. That is something to watch out for on Facebook Messenger, just so you know. And we're going back here to Apple, and that's an interesting thing. According to Bloomberg, analysts have lowered iPhone X shipment projections for the first quarter of next year, citing signs of lackluster demand at the end of the holiday shopping season. They said that Sinolink Securities analyst Zhang Bin said in a report Monday that handset shipment in the period may be as low as 35 million or 10 million less than he previously estimated. After the first wave of demand has been fulfilled, the market now worries that the high price of the iPhone 10 may weaken demand in the first quarter of next year. So that's interesting.
Could it be they actually got to a price point that people said, I'm not
absolutely. I mean, Nick was going to get a 10, and it wasn't that much more, but apparently it made a difference. So, you know, it's something to think about. And if you have stock in Apple, not that it's going to go bad, but just keep it in mind. They caught a Nigerian spammer in Louisiana. Isn't that something?
They caught him in Louisiana?
They said that
how'd they do that?
He's not a Nigerian prince. As the scam goes, all you have to do is submit your personal information and Western Union some funds to process the necessary paperwork, and in return you will receive millions of dollars. One of the people behind the popular scam, Michael New, has been arrested by police in Slidell, Louisiana. And it'll come as the writers say, this may come as a shocker, but no, he's not a prince, nor is he Nigerian. A 67-year-old male, possibly of German descent, based on his last name, who is facing 269 counts of wire fraud. People, you know, they're trying to make money, and they go to all these things that, I don't know. Just remember that Microsoft is not, I repeat, is not monitoring your computer to figure out whether you have a virus or not. If you get a call, it says, this is Microsoft, and we found out you have a virus, just tell them you're using a Mac. Get a Mac. This is a story from last week, and it's kind of, I'm wondering, over the past year, they've been comparing Google Maps and Apple Maps in New York, San Francisco, and London. But some of the biggest differences are outside of large cities. That's a comprehensive comparison. Google Maps, unlike Apple Maps, doesn't stop at outlining the routes. It offers contextual details such as depiction of buildings and other structures and vegetation. It has captured everything from dish antennas on top of buildings to golf courses. Furthermore, Google Maps also shows names of the neighborhoods and has more distinguishable icons and colors. You can glance at a portion of the map on Google Maps and get a good picture of what's in that place. Apple Maps, on the other hand, looks empty, like an unfurnished house. Again, I'm sure this is a lot of bias there by the whoever was doing this, but I remember there were some problems with Google Maps in the early days. Anybody knows if they fixed that? That it was taking you where you're not supposed to go, and we're not talking about Star Trek here.
The only thing I've had anecdotally is that sometimes the route is a little weird. It will take you what you would know to be the more direct route. It will take you a different way, even though there doesn't show any traffic. That happens occasionally.
Oh.
But I had that happen with my Garmin GPS and what was that first, Mio GPS? They took me on the wackiest paths and dumped me in the middle of nowhere, saying I was there when I wasn't. So,
and if you're using Ancestry.com, a lot of people are into it. They said that they closed a portion of its community-driven genealogy site RootsWeb as it investigated a leaky server that exposed 300,000 passwords, email addresses, and username to the public internet. The Chief Information Security Officer of Ancestry.com, Tony Blackham, said a file containing the user data was publicly exposed on a Roots web server. So if you're using Roots web, if you're using Ancestry.com, check and see if you're affected. This is becoming a daily occurrence of people that are getting exposed, that their details are getting exposed, I should say. And if you're using Thunderbird, Mozilla has issued a critical security update to its popular open source Thunderbird email client. And it says that the patch was part of a December release of 5 fixes that included 2 bugs rated high and 1 rated moderate and another low. They say Thunderbird, which also serves as a news, RSS, and chat clients, the latest Thunderbird 52.5.2 released last week, fixes the vulnerabilities. So if you are using Thunderbird, update it, upgrade it to the 52.5.2.
I thought they weren't supporting Thunderbird anymore.
Oh, I thought so too, but quite a few months ago, I found out that it's actually being supported again and developed.
It is a great email client. I absolutely like it. If you don't need the calendars and all that stuff that go with Outlook, it would be my number one choice.
Yeah, so it is a in development. They upgrading it, they updating it, they supporting it and everything. Somebody took it over, I think. It's not really Mozilla, but it's on the Mozilla site.
Yeah, but it was sort of group developed anyway. I mean, if you say, why don't you guys have this in it? And they'd say, well, why don't you write it?
Well, it was never a problem, Amnon, because Thunderbird was always available at convenience stores. In small PIP flasks and in larger bottles.
So before we get away from smart meters completely, I did see an interesting comment that sort of rounds out our discussion. In these comments of the product that I posted, a guy whose name is RF Engineer stated that smart meters are designed to radiate out the back of a meter for a few reasons. Many meters are located at the back of a home. In this case, radiating out the back of the meter focuses the meter energy towards the street, where mobility or mobile utility meter readers have higher probability of receiving a stronger signal. For the case where a meter is located on the side of a house, radiating tiers Athena back through the home's structure provides diffraction and scattering effects to the radio signal to increase the odds of the meter readings receiving the signal. Were the signal to strike, say, the brick side of the neighboring house, less scattering and diffraction of the signal happens. If the signal went out the back of the houses, less signal would likely make it to the street, particularly for homes located adjacent to forests and vacant lands. A Faraday cage is a fully enclosed surface. Wire mesh volumes that are not enclosed are not Faraday cages, which, I mean, that sounds like a credible response from a quote-unquote RF engineer. Well, the company that designed this product that I posted, Smart Meter Guard, says, "Hi, Peter, your statements are not correct here. The smart meter," and this is the part that's interesting, "the smart meter is mounted in an all-metal enclosure, including the sides, top, bottom, and back. This is a safety standard on all electrical utility boxes. RF waves cannot pass through the grounded metal back into your house. RF emits out the front glass part of the smart meter and propagates radially back into the house. Once the guard is installed over the glass, the entire unit is covered in grounded metal that the RF waves cannot escape, hence a Faraday cage. This means no RF passes into the house out the back. We've done multiple RF measurements verifying this. Please do research on this before posting low review marks." And so what it would sound like is that it's a non-issue of radiating through the back of the meter. And I would say that in a lab under perfect circumstances, that's probably a true statement. But who's to say these things are installed correctly? Who's to say these back plates are properly grounded? Who's to say that these meters are radiating within standards? Who's to say that the meter installed is compatible with the one that they tested?
I can tell you right now, when they change ours to the that electronic one, digital, it was not in one of those boxes. We had a plate on the back on the side of the house, a plate, and the meter was plugged into it, and it had like a band that was sealing it in place.
Right.
There was no on the sides, on the back. Now, after we had that problem with the electrical fire in the line that came into the house, and we had it changed, it was upgraded because you couldn't put those anymore, and they put one of those square ones that the meter is inside and it's covered on the side and on the back and all that kind of stuff. So yes, it's exactly what you're saying. Who's to say that it was installed correctly?
I'll tell you what you could do. I mean, again, we're guessing at this point, but I'll tell you what you could do if you really wanted to. You could take an ohm meter and go out to your to the meter on the side of your house, put one on it at a known good grounding point, like a grounding rod or something where you know the ground is good, and check the case on the meter to see if the meter is in fact grounded. Because I would say in 99.9% of the cases, just by virtue of installing it to the system, it's going to be grounded. But who's to say that there's not a missing point? If you look at, for example, some home inspection reports, you're getting ready to buy a home, you do a home inspection report. I have seen in many cases, for example, where the quote unquote sure ground is actually connected through a piece of PVC pipe between two pieces of conduit. And there is no, which you can do, but you have to put a ground strap to connect the two metallic pieces together to make it a constant, continuous ground. And that wasn't done. I would say if you're concerned about those things, get an ohm meter and go out there and verify that, in fact, the case of it is grounded. And if you want, if it doesn't look like it's well grounded, go get you a piece of ground braid. You can get a piece of RG8 coax. Take the ground braid out of that and bond it to the metal on it and bond it to the ground. Power company would probably rip it off if they came over, but you know what? If you're concerned about it, go do it. It helps.
Yep. All right. Anything else, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
We've talked over and over and over again about color laser printers.
Yes.
And my wife wanted a color printer and scanner for Christmas. So I did a lot of research, tried to figure out which way to go, looked at the brothers, looked at this, looked at that. Finally, I talked to our IT guy, and he said, Mike, have you looked at the Dell printers? And I said, no, I never look at anything with Dell's name on it. He said, go look at them. And I did. And I was blown away by what you get for the amount of money involved. My color laser printer here is a Dell printer, and I love it. So I then looked at it and figured out which one was the equivalent version of what I have now, ordered it for her, and they were scheduled and they were shipping it like 3 days later. And she said, now, by the way, I don't want a really big one. So it's still sitting in the box. I'm not sure where we're going to end up with that, but it was $300. And I will tell you, this thing looks like it's going to be killer.
Well, that's what I always said, and the one that I got, and I think, Spence, you got one of them too, is the Dell 1760. It was below $100. The
79.
Yeah, and the supplies are very cheap as in about $25 for a whole set with double black on eBay.
And for which printer?
And 1760. It's a 17.
Was that a brother?
Dell.
No, that's Dell.
Dell 1760.
Yeah. Works
I don't know
great.
what
I mean, in my opinion, photographs and everything, the pictures, prints it out. It's not something that you're going to get from the photographer, but I don't think any laser printer is. But this is
I don't know.
great.
Before you pass judgment on those photographic prints, get you some of this slick photographic paper to run through it that's approved for laser printers. It will knock you out as to what that printer does with the right paper.
To me, even on regular paper, it ends up, if you look at it, it ends up as a shiny piece of.
It does, but I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you get some of this high gloss paper that's approved. It has to be approved for laser printers. I'm telling you that it's just unbelievable.
They'll used to use Lexmark, but I doubt this is a
They
Lexmark.
may still, I don't know.
I looked at Lexmark and they did not have anything like this one. So normally you could look at the Dell printer and then go search for Lexmark and you see, oh yeah, that's the same one. So yeah, that's and it's small, but it's not a scanner. It's only a printer.
Mine is. Well, I talked her into giving it a try, and if it's too big, I'll move it up here, and then we'll get her a smaller one. But I will tell you that if she
What is a big one?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, maybe 14 inches wide by 20 inches deep by maybe 24 inches tall. I mean, it's a commercial size printer.
Yeah, that's not that big. I mean, I don't know what she's looking
Well, it is compared to a little small
Did you
one,
look?
but every one of those we bought, we've ended up throwing them in the trash can.
Yeah, I'll never buy another inkjet printer ever.
Right.
Did you look
Garbage.
Did you look at how much the supplies are?
Sort of. The ones from Dell, I mean, you look at those and they're very expensive, but they are individually replaceable.
Yeah.
And there are aftermarket replacements. So that was fine with me, because I'll tell you what, I also, and this may not be accurate, but it's my personal observation based on this Dell printer that I have, which is a commercial grade printer. These supplies last a heck of a lot longer than the consumer supplies do on the Brothers.
Because you don't use it for anything.
I'm just telling you, for some reason, they last longer. I don't know if it's the amount of toner. I don't know if it's the efficiency of the toner. I don't know why. But for example, this one that I have here, I have changed toners in it at least. I've had it 5 years. I've changed toner in it. I think I've changed one of the colors once over that period of time. And right now, for example, if I go into Windows Printer Properties, it says toner is low. Well, it's still printing perfectly with regard to color. So I'm going to keep going until all of a sudden it either stops working or I start seeing spots or missing toner or something like that, because I want to use all the toner that's in there. Why not? Because then I'm going to throw that toner cartridge away. Now, having said that, the problem with this one is that I bought it used. I got it from my employer. It had been well used before I got it, meaning that the drum is probably losing its efficiency. The transfer roller is not as clear as it probably was when it was new. And the price of doing any repairs to this, even if I did it myself using aftermarket parts, would probably be about the same as the price of a new Dell color laser. So this one is getting to the point that it'll be pitched.
No. And Dr. John is saying that he's looking at the price and it's $249. Sure enough. I was just
Gary's right. I mean, the Dell used to be Lexmark. Lexmark used to be IBM. But I mean, these companies, they change over time. Who's to know whether it's good, bad, or different? I cannot sit here today and tell you that this Dell printer is a good value. I will tell you that the IT guy at our company, who is sharp as they come, told me, he said, Mike, you need to go look at it, because we just bought one for HR, and he said it's perfect.
Yeah, you need a print. I mean, this is not going to be the printer that you're going to use for everything. This is going to be a printer that you're going to use for color.
Well, I use it for everything. And I don't wait. All I do is that if, for example, I'm going to print a web page and it's a Best Buy web page that has all the colors and everything on it, and I just want to use it for a price match, I tell it to print in black and white. Why waste the toner?
Absolutely.
To throw in the trash can?
I go even step down. I just use black. I let the paper stay the white.
And then that connects.
All right. Anything else?
No.
Spence?
Nope. Want to close out the year. Close them out.
Well, Happy New Year. And we
Happy New Year.
We can wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Happy and safe and healthy New Year.
Yep, and a healthy year and a prosperous year and just a positive year. And it will be. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Update your virus scanner. Back up your hard drive. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9. But you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And while you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tonight at 7. I don't think Nick is going to do the show tonight. I think he said that
It's recorded.
He told people that he's going to be there in 2 weeks. So, but you can listen to Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7. There may be a rerun in there. Have a happy new year and see you next year.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.